Futurist. Tonight, we drift into a future where the idea of ownership as we once understood it has faded. In the 2400s, nothing you use is yours. Your bed, your coat, your apartment, your cup of tea, they all belong to the system. You don't buy, you access. You don't keep, you flow. And no one seems to miss it. At least, not most. This episode is not about laws or lack, but about something subtler, a world redesigned around impermanence. World where everything is leased, streamed, or borrowed, right down to the shoes you wear and the words you write. It's a quiet, efficient future, one without clutter, without hoarding, without ownership anxiety, but it is not without questions. What happens when nothing is truly yours? When your memories are real, but the items tied to them are not? When your history is stored in a cloud you do not control? Begin in one of the world's largest share zones, drifting gently through a morning where every item is rented, every room temporary, and every possession tracked. Then we'll meet the mind who helped build this seamless system. Follow a mystery of objects that cannot be deleted, and finally, visit a community where everything is kept, aged, and buried with its owner. So breathe in slowly. Let the weight of things fall away tonight. We enter a world where nothing belongs to you, but everything is within reach. Let's begin with the morning. You wake slowly, not because you're tired, but because the bed has been programmed to time its firmness with your breath cycle. The mattress doesn't belong to you, neither do the sheets. While the soft ambient light rising from the wall, you didn't choose the lighting color, it was selected based on your dream data. Your sleep metrics indicate that pale yellow reduces your decision latency. For the first 2 hours of the day, you blink, the room recognizes you, softly, without sound. Your identification number is matched across the shared housing grid. Today, this room is yours. Tomorrow, it may belong to someone else. You swing your legs down to the floor, smooth, cool composite. Sanitized at 4 o'clock. The slippers at your bedside were delivered at 4:15. They fit perfectly, of course. The system knows your size, your stride, the angle at which your weight naturally shifts to your right foot. There are no clothes in your closet. The closet is a drone-fed compartment. You press your hand to the panel and within moments, a neutral tone outfit slides into place, borrowed from the personal fabric archive. You won't wear it tomorrow or ever again, but it is clean, tailored, and recyclable. Breakfast isn't made, it's assembled. You step into the nutrition capsule on the eastern wall. It dispenses warm liquid oats, subtly flavored with black fig and cardamom preferences inferred from your biometric nostalgia. Profile: you haven't tasted fig in years, you don't know why, but it feels right this morning. Your tablet boots up, but it's not really yours. It's a pass-through interface that resets each night. Your notes are saved to a cloud, but only as long as your subscription remains active. If it lapses, your words dissolve. No backups, no hard copies, nothing that can't be deleted. You check your schedule, another borrowed slot in the co-work corridor on floor 42. You'll be assigned a desk, a mug, a chair. When you leave, all of it will revert to communal status. The mug may be used by someone else this afternoon. The chair will adjust for another spine. You won't know their name. You won't need to. This is life in 2407. Frictionless, fluid, free of clutter. No one owns, everyone flows. You live in Zone Delta 3, a mega-urban borough where over 19 million citizens rotate through shared housing, flexible wardrobes, modular transportation, and time-leased experiences. It is a system optimized for minimal waste and maximum circulation, a life where nothing breaks because nothing is held too tightly. And yet, there's a feeling this morning, hard to name. The pause just as you place your cup back into the collection slot. You wonder, for a moment, what did people keep? What did it feel like to lose something because it was yours? Not from deletion, but from time. From where? From love. The moment passes. Your shared transit vehicle arrives. You step in. Your seat knows your weight. Your destination is pre-approved. Your day belongs to the network, but not to you. And yet, in the stillness between stops, you feel it again, a small, persistent echo of something solid remembered. A shape, a texture, a keepsake. But those don't exist anymore, except some do. Hidden among the flow, there are still a few things that won't disappear. Items that resist deletion, objects that stay. Let's meet the person who built the system that tried to erase them. To understand why the world gave up on owning things, you need to meet Hein Volker. He He doesn't appear often in history archives. No documentaries, no monuments, just scattered mentions in economic transition reports and a few cryptic audio interviews from the 2180s. But if you live in the 2400s, you live in the world Hein designed. Volker was born in 2111 in what was then called Luxembourg. He grew up in the aftermath of the Great Storage Collapse and era, when the burden of physical possessions overwhelmed cities. Housing markets imploded not because there weren't enough homes, but because there wasn't enough space. People had more than they needed, and no place to put it. Climate control failed under the strain of overproduction. Objects outlasted their usefulness, but never left. Volker watched his parents fight every week about where to store shoes. He watched his building as communal hallway filled with unused chairs and broken devices, waiting to be repaired by no one. He learned early on the problem wasn't scarcity, it was accumulation. As a university student, he became obsessed with access theory, the idea that it is better to use something when you need it than to own it forever. He once wrote in his only published article, "Ownership is a ghost. It promises permanence, but demands labor. Access offers no illusion, only the use and nothing more." In his early career, Volker worked for logistics firms mapping the inefficiencies of global trade. He saw billions of dollars lost not to manufacturing, but to storage, duplication, and waste. He understood that systems collapse when the things we carry become heavier than the lives we live. Then, in 2154, he launched Circulum, a prototype floating economy that replaced ownership with time access. It began small: clothing libraries, modular tools, compact kitchens leased by the hour. Everything tracked, everything shared. No one owned anything, but everyone had what they needed. The system worked. Nation-states quietly rewrote property laws. Digital leases replaced deeds. Possession was redefined. If it could be returned, reassigned, or recycled, it wasn't truly yours. Volker didn't patent the idea. He refused profit. He believed Circulum should evolve like a utility, transparent, invisible. Within the flow of things, a strange phenomenon began to emerge. Certain objects wouldn't go away, not because the system failed, but because someone or something refused to let them be deleted. Anomalies, echoes, possessions that persisted. Let's investigate one next. In a world where nothing is supposed to last, some things do, not by design, but by resistance. They appear rarely, quietly, often tucked into forgotten corners of the global object stream. Items that should have dissolved, been reabsorbed into the system, recycled into components, and yet they persist. These are called echo objects. The term began circulating among infrastructure engineers in the early 2300s. Technicians who maintained the Circulum fabric, the vast invisible network of scanners, ledgers, redistribution drones, and behavioral algorithms that manage object access across the globe. It was first used to describe a jacket, just a plain, worn brown jacket, nothing unusual in form, but it kept returning. The system had flagged it for deconstruction 5 times. It was registered to a citizen who had long since expired, its fibers rated below usability, its environmental offset cost too high. It had no sentimental tag, no family lineage, no digital exemption request, and yet, every time it was queued for dissolution, the command failed, the record reset, the jacket re-entered circulation. Other reports followed. A cracked ceramic bowl reshared across 119 users in 3 decades each one. When surveyed, remembered exactly how the bowl felt in their hands. A child's toy fox, visibly frayed, reappeared in 7 different cities across 5 years, always placed near someone experiencing grief. An analog photo printed on genuine paper of a house no system could locate. A face no identity scan could verify. Technically, none of these objects should exist, but they do, and more emerge each year. There's no centralized category for them, no official acknowledgement. But internally, New Holt's custodial AI architecture now classifies them under a hidden tag. Type null retainers. Their presence causes no harm. but their refusal to disappear unsettles the grid. Some researchers believe echo objects are artifacts of residual memory pressure impressions, left so deeply in the minds of past users that the objects acquire a kind of narrative inertia, weight of meaning that resists the system's logic. Others speculate that these items are being quietly protected by a fringe network former archivists or rogue sentimentalists working inside the grid. But there is a third theory, whispered, not published, spoken only between those who have touched these objects themselves. They say echo objects are not just remembered, they are remembering. That meaning, when carried long enough, begins to shape the space around it. That an object held in love or grief or longing becomes unwilling to forget. These items are not numerous. You could pass through 100 share zones and never see one. But when you do, you'll know. They feel heavier than their weight. Familiar, even if you've never seen them. They hum softly, even when silent. A technician once wrote, anonymously, I held a book that wasn't in the system. It had no skin code, no record, just words. The edges were torn, and I started crying before I knew why. I don't remember the story, but the book remembered me. Circulum is still trying to isolate the pattern, but the truth is, these objects don't want to be erased, and the people who touch them even once don't want to let them go. In a future designed to leave no trace, echo objects are the trace, which raises a quiet, powerful question. What if ownership never needed a deed, a barcode, or a ledger? What if it was simply the act of caring, so deeply that the world couldn't forget? But not everyone shares this softness toward objects. Far beyond the share zones, a different community thrives where ownership never ended, where every item is kept, aged, and eventually buried. Let's go there now. We leave the ultra-optimized share zones now. We leave behind the polished modules and self-cleaning fabrics, the quiet glide of returned mugs and time-leased shoes. We follow the curvature of a long-forgotten Reline, far into what was once called the Carpathian interior, a temperate zone made fertile again by low-orbit rewilding satellites and slow tectonic recovery. And nestled here, wrapped in fog and silence, is Doma Vas, a settlement of barely 300 people. It has no Circulum connection, no item stream, no app interfaces here. Every object is not only owned, but kept, not because it is more efficient, but because the people here believe things are meant to last and age and be mourned. You wake up on a straw-stuffed mattress that smells faintly of lavender and dust. It creaks as you shift, no pressure sensors, no bed routines. The blanket was hand-woven decades ago, passed down. The cup on your nightstand is slightly chipped, but the crack was sealed with a thin golden line kintsugi style, a visible repair, a story. Retained. There's no dispenser for breakfast. Instead, you prepare it yourself. The oats are dry, the water is fetched manually, the pot is placed over an induction fire that mimics flame but retains manual control. The spoon you stir with is made of wood, smooth from years of use. It's yours, not by ID scan or lease code, but by memory. It was given to you last winter by someone who noticed you always stirred clockwise. Here, everything has a lineage. The axe and the toolshed has names burned into its handle for generations deep. The books on the shelf were never deleted, even when the pages fade. The photographs are not ray-rendered, they fade, yes, but remain like real memories. And when something breaks beyond repair, it is not deleted, it is buried. Doma Vas has a small ritual grove. Once a month, its residents gather at dusk. They wear nothing formal, no ceremonial chant, just presence, and one by one, they place old objects in the ground. A cracked dish, a frayed scarf, a doll whose name has outlived its owner. They bury these items not to discard them, but to honor their time, as if things, like people, deserve a resting place. Here, loss is visible. Here, memory takes space. Here, ownership is not a power structure, but a relationship. But it's not always easy. The village has no backups, no automated replacements. When a tool is lost, it may be weeks before a new one is crafted. There's no instant access. Only trust, patience, the will to maintain, and the understanding that imperfection is not failure, it is evidence of care. Most of the world considers Doma Vas a curiosity, a soft rebellion, an intentional inefficiency in a world built on circulation. The global network doesn't recognize the village as a legal economic participant, no tax grid, no item flow, and yet, people here endure when asked why they live this way. An elder named Ileana smiles gently and replies, "Because I remember how my mother's coat felt in winter. I remember the weight, the smell, and when I wear it now, I still feel her arms inside it. The coat doesn't belong to me. It belongs to memory. I'm just the one keeping it warm." As night falls over Doma Vas, you sit quietly by the grove. The earth is soft. The air smells of pine smoke and loam. You feel, for the first time in a long while, surrounded by things that matter not because they're useful, but because they've stayed. You think back to the objectless city, to the echo objects, to the world that floats, and you realize maybe ownership was never about control. Maybe it was always about connection, not "this is mine," but "this has known me." As stars rise, you prepare to return to the future that forgot and the one that might still remember. Let's close gently now and carry forward only what we need. We return from a world of frictionless access, from the quiet tap of items appearing and disappearing with no resistance, no residue. World where beds adjust to your breath, where cups forget who held them, and where everything, no matter how lovely, is meant to pass through you, not stay with you. We return with something else in our hands. Not an object, but a question. What does it mean to live without owning? And what does it mean to keep something simply because it holds a shape in your memory? Tonight, we walk through the flow state of the 2400s, a system where ownership was considered noise, and clarity came through letting go. We met Hein Volker, who envisioned a world free of burdens. We stood among the echo objects, those strange fragments that refused to vanish, as if memory itself had grown a spine, and then we stepped gently into Doma Vas, a place where spoons are repaired, not replaced, where books age visibly, where objects are buried, not erased. It's not a better world, just a different rhythm. Neither future is perfect. One offers lightness, the other weight, and somewhere in between is you who sleep in a borrowed room, but miss the quilt your grandmother stitched. You who stream books and photos, but still carry one old ring in a drawer that doesn't open often. You live in both futures at once. So as you settle now into your own stillness, eyes heavy, mind softened, remember this: it is okay to let things go. It is also okay to keep one thing just because it knows you back. That, too, is a kind of love. This has been Midnight Futurist, a gentle journey through the futures we may yet live, and the paths we quietly carry with us. Until next time, rest well, drift lightly, and hold nothing too tightly except what matters. End.